Paul and Peter entered the world under a dark cloud. Their mother, already weakened by illness, fought valiantly to bring them into the world. She was a beacon of hope and love for her 3 older children and the newborn twins, but her body could not sustain her spirit. She passed away a year later, leaving a gaping void in the lives of her children. At the tender age of 1, Paul and Peter were taken in by their grandmother, a resilient woman who became their rock in the tumultuous sea of life. She nurtured them with stories of their mother's courage and instilled in them the values of love and perseverance. Yet, the shadow of sorrow loomed over the family, always lurking in the background. When Paul and Peter turned 10, tragedy struck again. Their grandmother, the only constant in their lives since their mother's passing, succumbed to old age. The loss hit them like a tidal wave, sweeping away the stability and warmth they had known. They found themselves in the care of their distant and detached father. Life moved forward, and the twins navigated their teenage years together. Both were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, a condition that required constant attention and care. They managed their illness with resilience, supporting each other through the daily struggles. But at 15, Paul faced an unimaginable heartbreak. Peter, his twin and closest confidant, succumbed to complications from their shared condition. The loss of his brother shattered Paul, leaving him in a state of profound grief. Just a year later, their father passed away. His stepmother, who never truly accepted him, saw this as an opportunity to sever the bond entirely. She evicted Paul from the family home, casting him out into a world that seemed devoid of compassion and stability. Homeless and alone, Paul's sorrow was a heavy burden. However, amid the chaos, he found solace in dancehall music. In high school, Paul had discovered a passion for freestyling. His lyrics, filled with the pain and struggles of his life, became his refuge, a way to channel his anguish and express the depths of his emotions. With nowhere to go and no one to turn to, Paul wandered the streets, his voice and rhythm his only companions. Life as a bum was harsh and unforgiving. Nights were spent under bridges, in shelters, or on park benches. Hunger and cold were constant companions, but Paul's spirit remained unbroken. Every spare moment was devoted to his freestyling. He performed on street corners and in subway stations, his voice a poignant echo of his sorrowful past. Yet the relentless pain and isolation began to take their toll. The world of the streets was brutal and unforgiving. Paul found temporary relief in substances that numbed his aching heart and dulled the constant pain. It started with alcohol, a bottle shared with other lost souls under a bridge. The alcohol dulled his sorrow, providing a fleeting sense of warmth and forgetfulness. One evening, after a particularly harsh day of accusations and hunger, Paul was sitting on a curb, strumming a makeshift beat on a tin can. A fellow street dweller, eyes glazed and clothes tattered, approached him. "Hey man, want something stronger?" the man asked, pulling out a small bag of pills. Paul looked up, his eyes hollow. "What is it?" "Just something to take the edge off." "Better than the booze," the man replied, his voice slurred. Paul hesitated for a moment, then took the pills. "Sure, why not?" he muttered. The pills became his escape, offering a temporary reprieve from the relentless pain. The more Paul sank into substance abuse, the more his freestyles reflected his despair. He would rap for strangers, his lyrics raw and haunting. One night, while performing in a dimly lit alley, a passerby stopped to listen. "Man, you've got talent," the stranger said, tossing a coin into Paul's hat. Paul looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "Thanks. Not that it changes anything. You ever think about getting clean? You could do something with that voice," the stranger suggested. Paul laughed bitterly. "Clean? What's the point? Everyone I loved is gone. My family doesn't want me. This is my life now." The stranger shook his head, pity in his eyes. "You don't have to stay like this. There's help out there." Paul watched as the stranger walked away, the words echoing in his mind but failing to take root. As the years passed, Paul's addiction deepened. He moved from pills to harder drugs, seeking anything to numb the unrelenting pain. His performances became less frequent, his health deteriorating. His once vibrant freestyles were now broken and disjointed, a mirror of his fractured soul. One cold winter night, Paul was huddled in a doorway, shivering violently. A group of teenagers passed by, laughing and joking. One of them noticed Paul and stopped. "Hey, aren't you that guy who used to rap in the subway?" the teenager asked. Paul looked up, barely recognizing his own reflection in their eyes. "Yeah, that was me," he whispered. "You were amazing." "What happened?" the teenager asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Paul sighed, his breath visible in the frigid air. "Life happened. Loss, pain, more loss. Drugs helped me forget, but now I'm just lost." The teenager reached into her pocket and handed Paul a sandwich. "I hope things get better for you, man." Paul took the sandwich with trembling hands. "Thanks, kid, but hope is a dangerous thing." The teenager walked away, leaving Paul to his cold, lonely reality. He took a bite of the sandwich, the taste a stark reminder of how far he had fallen. The weight of his life's tragedies bore down on Paul, each loss, each betrayal adding to the heavy burden he carried. Despite his talent and the brief moments of solace it brought him, Paul could not escape the shadows of his past. The world had moved on, and he was left behind, a ghost of a man wandering through the remnants of his shattered dreams. Paul's life, marked by sorrow and relentless accusations, became a testament to the harsh realities faced by those who are cast aside. His music, filled with the pain of his experiences, remained unheard by those who might have offered a lifeline. Paul became another forgotten soul, his story a silent scream in the bustling noise of an indifferent world. Moral of the episode: don't fear being a bum. You might find a girl that will give you a sandwich. Thank you for watching. As we wait for part 2, please subscribe, like, and comment.